We have on the show with us today the ever unfortunate Arsenal fan, Abdullah, who just missed on
Hey
Europe,
man.
and the very pretense neutral, Coach Samir Kapoor, a Barcelona fan, Liverpool by heart, but very excited on the Atletico Madrid victory. Guys, how's it going?
Good
All
man,
good
thanks
man.
Rahul.
Thanks for having us. It's kind of sad that the season is already over. You know what I mean? And it's already such a long wait for the next one.
I mean, a longer wait for you, but we'll get into that into detail. Just a little brief. We're going to be discussing all the good and bad things that happened in the season. Getting right into it, the team of the season, the All Balls team has voted, and we've come, to a conclusion as to what our strongest 11 is. So, starting from the back, we've picked Emiliano Martinez as our goalkeeper. Now, Abdullah, I'll direct this one to you since he's an ex-Arsenal goalkeeper, though I know it hurts. He did finish below you while he was above you during most of the season. But what do you make of his performances this season?
Yeah, I think unanimously, if you ask any Premier League fan, they too would vote for Emi Martinez, especially at the beginning of the season. Though he was one of the standout performers for Villa, and his performance did not dip as the season went on. And very happy to actually see him perform so well because he had been as an Arsenal player for almost a decade and barely got any chance. But I would like to throw another name in the ring, which is that of possibly Mendy of Chelsea, because I think a lot of changes happened in Chelsea, but I think that could be the second pick. So I think unanimously, Emmy possibly takes it.
We can give it to Emmy. He termed the best shot stopper. He has a 77, save percentage rate. So I think that is, yeah, it's a fair call if you ask me.
Yeah. Also, let's not we cannot not talk about Edison as well. I mean, he did get the Golden Gloves. He is the keeper of the champions. So, nonetheless, if everyone is talking about Emmy Martinez, then it just goes to show how great of a performance that this keeper has had compared to his peers. So, definitely, I think Emmy does take the cake over here.
So let's move on to our defense. Carl.
Well, as we all unanimously, well, not unanimously picked, but majority of us actually picked Vladimir Sufal, which I would say is quite comfortable, surprising. I think he's been a really good player. But Sam, can you at least tell us what do you think? Like, do you think Vladimir Sufal would have deserved this spot, or there are better players in that spot on our right back actually?
I think maybe Van Bissaka or say Alexander Arnold would give him a run for his money. But yeah, I agree with your pick here, man, because West Ham has had a superb season, and for any team to be successful and make it to the European spots, they need to have a steady defense. So I think Kufal and Cresswell have been the mainstays for West Ham, and they've done well, man. So I agree with your pick of Kufal there over the others.
But Sam,
Um,
since we're on and before we move to our next defender, I had a name in mind which I wanted to actually ask you about. Do you think Castagna would have fit in?
If he was fit, he would have fit in, but he missed a few matches. Otherwise, at prime fitness, when he started for Leicester, I really loved seeing him play. But James Justin played most of the matches at right back for them in the beginning. And then Castagna, when he came from Atlanta, like I was a big fan of his watching him last season. So I think he's definitely right up there because of his ability on the ball and his 1v1 defensive skills. But I don't think this season he did better than the other three names which he mentioned. Yeah.
oh,
Fair enough. I think coming to the other side of defense, and I would love to take this name. Luke Shaw is our pick at left back. So, Abdullah, back to you. Renaissance season for him after what he's gone through in the last few seasons.
I think it just speaks to show that we don't have any left back options in the league if you're going with Luke Shaw as team of the season. No, but all jokes aside, definitely, like you said, he has had a torrential time ever since he joined Manchester United. And I mean, we kind of forget that he's been at United for so long. He was under Mourinho, I think, a horrible spell. But this season, definitely, along with his fellow defender Harry Maguire. I think both of them have actually done a lot for their reputation. I would like to say, and I mean, there was a lot of talk about possibly Luke Shaw being, in the bottom five of the top five left backs. but consistently over the season, he has actually proven to be good both in attack and in defense, which sometimes is a criticism of Van Bissaka. So unlike his teammate, he's actually been able to balance both the facets of his game. And once again, I think it's a unanimous choice. Luke Shaw possibly does deserve that spot.
Yeah, he had 75% of his tackles won, and being a left back, he's created 2.5 chances a game. I think compared to the left backs, in the other teams that have finished high up on the table, I think he kind of deserves the spot. Though you said that it's sad that we have to have Luke Shaw on the team, but I will take that as a biased comment, and we will move on to our next pick.
No, Rahul, I think the signing of Telles really gave Luke Shaw the kick up his ass which he needed. I am a Ben Chilwell fan because I think he's a
Oh
superb left
yeah.
back. But I think Luke Shaw, really stepped up his game. I don't think Brandon Williams was giving him much of a run for his money. I think he took his place for granted. But when Telles came in, Luke Shaw had to up his game. And I think that's what saw him put in those amazing performances consistently and,
Also,
make it to the best left back this season.
sorry about that. Yeah, and also I feel that Luke Shaw has been in the Premier League for so long. So I feel there are definitely left backs who are more talented than him. But over the course of a season, be it because of injuries or consistent performances, Luke Shaw actually does take this position because, I mean, not to sound biased, but there is Kieran Tierney as well. But he was not fit. B, sometimes he was not consistent enough. I mean, there were gaps which were found defensively. Thirdly, like Coach Sam said, there was Ben Chilwell as well, who has made a world of a difference to the Chelsea side since he's come in. But once again, I think Luke Shaw probably is number one over there.
Well, Luke Shaw does actually have some decent, what do you call, company though in that defensive line. And we unanimously picked, all of us, was Ruben Diaz. And I'm pretty sure we all know he's probably been the best defender the whole season. But would you honestly think, like Sam, especially I threw this out to you, like, would you honestly think there's anyone else who could compete close enough to probably a Ruben Diaz this season?
In Van Dijk's absence, I don't see anyone else. Maybe, Thiago Silva, but Thiago Silva's old now. He's not got the pace. But when it comes to communication and organization, his leadership skills, like Ruben Dias and Thiago Silva, are like right up there. Because, coming into a new team, having a new partner like John Stones next to him and helping him up his game as well, hats off to Ruben Dias, man. Like, they were so dependent on Laporte in the last season, Man City. But this season, with Ruben Dias coming in, Jose Mourinho wanted him at Tottenham but was unable to sign him. And if Mourinho likes a centre back, then you know that centre back is actually good. Because, very rarely do you hear Mourinho say good things about his central defenders. I personally can't wait to see Diaz and Pepe play together for Portugal in the Euros, man. Like someone who's a real experienced campaigner, a dirty tackler, with someone who's as agile and as intelligent as Ruben Diaz. I think it's a great centre defense partnership.
But you spoke about John Stones. Now, we did, of course, look around the Premier League for a better centre half pairing for Ruben Diaz. And, while your Maguire kept clean sheets, but we all know how good he is. Chelsea did not have a consistent centre back. Liverpool, of course, used about 80 million of their centre backs in their squad at home in their city. But then you do come back to John Stones, and he is our, second pick for centre back. So, Abdullah, do you think that is the pairing that won City the title, and that is probably the best defensive pairing, whether it be for the team or for the Premier League?
I think 100% that won City the title. And it's so uncanny that we are talking about defense actually winning a Pep side the title. But, well, that's the way that this season has gone. And everyone had written Stones off to the point that I remember at the beginning of the season during the transfer window, there were talks of Stone even going out somewhere, right? But somehow he has been able to turn the page, and a lot of credit actually goes to the coaching staff. A lot of credit actually does go to Ruben Diaz as well. I mean, honestly, I hadn't heard of this player when he came to City, and I started seeing him frequently. I couldn't even put his age. I couldn't guess that he is actually under 25. And then as the season went on, the maturity that he has shown is of the levels of, say, a Thiago Silva, right? Who is one of the most decorated and senior Premier League defenders that we have. currently. So Stones and Diaz, definitely it was a great partnership. Everyone knew Stones' potential, but everyone was just kind of waiting for it to actually flourish. And I think because of that partnership, I would give the second CB spot to Stones as well. Or else, more than Luke Shaw, what was actually hurting me is that possibly Harry Maguire has been quite steady. I mean, he's a fridge, he's a slab. He's I think Phil Jones reincarnated in terms of you're not going to get these performances season after season. But I think this season, just strictly speaking about the Premier League and no Europa League action where he had been shoddy. But in the Premier League, I think he had put in quite a few good performances. But unfortunately, his English teammate John Stones possibly nicks the second spot from him.
Yeah, because they went when they were on their run, that unbeaten run of theirs, they conceded, if I'm not mistaken, only about 4 or 5 goals in roughly 18 games, and they scored as
Right.
many as well. So it's not only that they kept clean sheets at the back, but John Stones and Diaz did get a lot of important goals for their team, and that run which City managed, which got them the title
Yeah.
eventually so
Absolutely.
comfortably.
I think it was for everyone to see. In a recent video on Rio's channel, he was interviewing Pep. And, so Pep goes on to tell him that basically after the draw with West Brom at the Etihad, him and his coaching staff, they got together and they were just like trying to figure out as to why is the team not clicking. So eventually what they arrived upon is that, they're taking too much time on the ball, right? Not with the ball, too much time on the ball, right? So they just wanted to pass it down quickly, get to the end product. So again, here also a lot of attention is going to go towards scoring. But what we cannot dismiss is the fact that this arguably has been one of the best defensive performances by a Pep Guardiola side, right? And no less in the EPL. So definitely the attack will get its due credit. Your Gundoyans and your Riyad Mahrez and your Phil Fodens, and that's about it maybe over here for this season. But undoubtedly, in the defense, especially the two centre backs, they take the cake.
Yeah, well, I honestly think you pretty much kind of summed that up pretty easily, though. I mean, I would also completely agree with you as well, Abdullah. Like in terms of playing that back central line, like, but we move now also along towards the midfield, and I'm sure you guys would also agree with me as onto this that Mason Mount, who's probably been Chelsea's Player of the Year, definitely gets a shout here. I mean, he's got 6 goals, 5 assists. I mean, he can't be wrong. He's basically been that engine at Chelsea. Would you add anything else? I mean, like Samir, what do you think? Like, would you think there's anyone else who's better than Mason Mount right now for a youngster?
I think Mason Mount and Phil Foden, both of them are right up there when it comes to the youngsters who've done well. I think even Greenwood has done fantastically well. But Mason Mount does stand out because of his consistency, because of his performances game in, game out in Europe and in the English Premier League, scoring goals, putting that work rate in, getting those kilometers covered on the pitch, being a proper team player. So yeah, I definitely agree about Mason Mount being there in this team of the season. I would probably prefer playing him in the front three, not in the midfield. I would have, maybe other players in the three-man midfield, and in my front three, maybe play Mason Mount on the left. Is where I would have him.
Fair enough.
I'm
But
sure.
someone most suited to midfield was, of course, now again, coincidentally, this name comes to me, which is Bruno Fernandes. So 37 games in the Premier League, 18 goals, 12 assists. Uh, how good has he been, Abdullah? From an Arsenal fan, Sam, will come to you, but from an Arsenal fan, tell me about Bruno
I
because I've
think
heard a lot of.
a lot of criticism about Bruno. I don't think
Yes.
so, man. I think Bruno has been a revelation for United. I wouldn't say as much for the league, for United. He's also kind of paving the path for a lot of youngsters, wherein it's not just creativity, but like so many other facets which he brings to the game. He's become the number one penalty taker. I mean, we don't even need to talk about that. It just like goes hand in hand, Bruno and Fernandes. So, but it just goes to show that, what, if you're clinical, even with your penalties, right, regardless of who is the striker in your side, the coaching staff is going to trust you to go ahead and take it. So it doesn't matter how many of these 18 goals have come from penalties. Kudos to him. He's been a standout performer, I think, since he has joined the league, which was in last Jan. last Jan till yesterday, I think if you were to just like look at the performances strictly by numbers, then I think I would say that Bruno Fernandes has been the performer of the season. He provides, he scores, and I mean, without Bruno, that team is kind of it's kind of not there. So that just goes to show the importance of the player, and I think he can play quite well with a myriad of different players, right? So maybe if in the team of the season, if we put him with say a KDB, he would be able to perform well with him also. And of course, at United, if he has performed well with the likes of Fred and McTominay, sometimes playing together, then why not, man? Bruno is the king.
Well, I like that you
Before-
mentioned Kevin De Bruyne, because Kevin De Bruyne also kind of fills up our whole spot of the midfield over there, and he's also been fantastic with, as usual, actually, with City. I mean, he's also been that creative engine. He's got what, 6 goals, 12 assists, and he just gets better and better. And Sam, I'm sure like there are also other shouts for midfielders. Who do you recommend, like besides the ones you just mentioned? Like it's Mason Mount, Bruno, Phil Foden, and Kevin De Bruyne.
I think I would go in with a DMF for sure, like a CDM and N'Golo Kante, or maybe a NDD, someone like that who has got the legs to run box to box. Because De Bruyne, I think all the 4 midfielders you named, they're renowned for their ball playing abilities, for their assists, for their goals. So I would just like to personally have someone doing the dirty work, the defensive work in between the centre backs. So I would go in with an N'Golo Kante and maybe a De Bruyne playing next to him and Bruno playing on top of the triangle. So, if I would go in with a 3-man midfield, that's how I would like to line them up. Bruno Fernandes playing an attacking role, De Bruyne and a Kante supporting behind him. And, just to mention here, I love the fact how Rahul has purposely put in all his Manchester United player questions to Abdullah, just to rub it in and ask him about Luke Shaw in the beginning, then about Bruno Fernandes. So,
No, but in all the years I've known Sam, this dirty tackle, dirty work, hard tackles, I'm not even a wee bit surprised that it's come from him, because this is a man who idolizes Diego Simeone. So I think it's pretty clear that the dirty work is going to come from Sam. But since Sam, you have gotten so emotional that I have directed all my questions to Abdullah. The next one will come to you. The man in question in the strike force, whether he will be at Spurs, whether he will be at United or City, Harry Kane. I mean, there's Golden Boot winner. You can't. How much more can you describe this guy who's winning the Golden Boot at Spurs?
Bro, he's won the Golden Boot and he's with the maximum assists. So that's, I think, phenomenal for a centre forward to do that. And, again, playing in a team like Tottenham, not having the best players around him, like other clubs like City and Liverpool, which do have, better attackers maybe. So I think Kane has, single-handedly carried Spurs, man. He's done it in the past. He's done it again. He's performed for club, country. I think he's a phenomenal striker and maybe in the top 3 in the entire world currently. So I think totally deserved Harry Kane to, take the centre forward spot.
And Abdullah praising a Spurs man.
Well, I think he's an Arsenal fan himself. So,
Yeah.
for what it's worth, so actually, so I did something. I was just thinking the other day that Mohamed Salah has actually been dominating the league since he's come. So I decided to pull up a few numbers. So since 2017-18 season, which is when Mohamed Salah started for Liverpool till this season, he's played 145 games and scored 95 goals, right? And Mo Salah actually has been clinical, like you're talking about 32, 22, 19 and whatever, he scored right now. However, despite his injuries, Harry Kane has played 16 fewer games. So he comes in at 129 games and 88 goals. Despite having scored 7 lesser goals, his goals per game is still higher than Mo Salah, right? And this, we're not even speaking about what Sam, referenced. He spoke about his playmaking abilities effectively. I mean, for a striker to actually contribute so much without scoring, I would call him like the forward-most playmaker, right? And that is where the players around him also kind of have been able to flourish. I mean, if you were to look at Tottenham's 3rd goal yesterday, Kane took it so wide from Schmeichel, right? If it were any other player except for Heung-Sin Mon, or whatever his name is, the Korean, right? Any other player would have actually possibly hit the keeper, hit the bar elsewhere, right? but it was Bale, absolutely clinical. Kane knew where to put it to Bale, right? What kind of weight to put on the ball, and this is what you get with Kane. And I would say, I would go ahead of Sam and say that I think Kane is one of the top two actually strikers in the world. And contrary to what a lot of people are saying, there's going to be a line of clubs outside, Daniel Levy's office to sign Kane. So could be the last time that we see him. So definitely he deserves a spot in the team of the season as well.
I mean, so that concludes our team of the season. Just a sum up, we have Martinez in goal, Kufal at right back, Luke Shaw at left back. Sam, please smile. Ruben Diaz and John Stones in the middle. We have Bruno, Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne in the middle, along with Mason Mount. And we have Salah and Harry Kane up top. Abdullah, thank you for the stats. We will move now into our next segment, probably Sam's favorite, which is the manager of the season.
Well, we actually unanimously voted for Pep Guardiola, but I'm sure there's a huge list, Sam. I'm sure of managers who have just done fantastic. You can go from Tuchel to even Ole Gunnar. I hate to say it, but yeah, even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done a really good job as well. But who do you think was your manager this season?
I would say David Moyes, man. Like what he's achieved with West Ham, I think it's taken them 20 odd years to get into Europe. So what he's achieved with that bunch of players without having a striker other than Antonio who was injured for so long, and then the signing of Soucek, then the signing of Lingard, I think they've done fantastic, man. Like they've actually overachieved. We were actually talking about them getting into the top four, but the way it is in England, it was so competitive that they had to settle for Europa League, and finishing above Spurs, finishing above Arsenal is a big achievement for a club like West Ham. And hats off to David Moyes, man. Like no other manager could do it at a club like West Ham. So this guy coming in with his defensive organization, getting the best out of Soucek, of Declan Rice, of Fornals, getting Lingard in at the correct time, playing him in the correct position. We didn't see Lingard do well at United, but we saw him do well at West Ham because I personally felt that he played in the correct formation and in the correct position, getting the best out of your Kufal and Cresswell. So achieving extraordinary things with an ordinary group of players is why I would give it to David Moyes for this season.
I think also adding to that, considering the fact that West Ham were unlucky in terms of, couple of red cards to the centre backs, injuries to Ogbonna, injuries to Declan Rice, and of course, we spoke about Antonio. But do you think, Abdullah, that, since Pep has done what he has done, Ole's come second, do the team placements, rather the rankings, affect the fact that managers like a Brendan Rodgers or David Moyes, for that matter, who, like Sam said, have overachieved? Like Brendan Rodgers, yes, missed out on the Champions League, but he's in Europe. He's got the FA Cup for Leicester. He beat Chelsea. Do these managers really miss out on the recognition they deserve, while managers like Pep, Ole, even Tuchel for that matter, who's come in for barely 6 months odd or 4 months odd and has done so well compared to the managers who've been doing it this season, all season long?
Definitely. I mean, a prime example for the last couple of years, I would say, is Graham Potter, right? Brighton and Graham Potter are a team that they're always there, like they're there in the league, but nobody gives two hoots about them. Like they're just better not to be relegated, so they're kind of forgotten. And Graham Potter, with the budget that Brighton has, with the city where Brighton, the club comes from, Brighton itself, very small. So definitely they're lost in the rankings. I think unanimously David Moyes probably would edge it. I would say edge whom? Edge probably Pep, because of course cannot ignore the champions. Ole is also a great shout, because I think what Ole has shown this season compared to the likes of Lampard, Arteta and the likes is that he's got the 10 years of experience behind Ole's managerial career, right? That has, I think, somewhat reflected this season with regards to how he was actually able to pull United kind of out of the dumps at the beginning. However, I would like to throw in a name, kind of left field, just like the man himself, which is Marcelo Bielsa. I think the league is richer with him in it. Definitely Mourinho going was kind of, because Mourinho's blockbuster. But with Marcelo Bielsa there, I mean, I think at home at Ellen Road, they are unbeaten against the current top four or top five. I think I might be mistaken, but I think that's the case. If that's the case, that means that he's fighting with the top managers of the current time who have the top budgets, who have the top players, but still his style of play, is a match for these teams. And obviously, Leeds are blockbuster unto themselves. They finished ninth, 2 points of Arsenal, 3 points of Tottenham Hotspur, just 6 points of Europe in their first ever season. Collectively, obviously, it's a team effort, but I think if one man does get the credit for it, it has to be the coach. So, in my opinion, keeping Rahul, your point also in mind, I wouldn't go for any of the top teams, even though David Moyes, I must admit, far exceeded any expectations. But I think I would go with Marcelo Bielsa.
That's a
Carl,
actually
if I had to ask you, I actually want to ask Carl this.
yeah.
That your manager, between, leave the Pep aside, between Moyes, Rogers, Graham Potter, who you've spoken very highly about previously on shows we've done together, who would you pick?
I would actually agree with Abdullah about Graham Potter. I think Graham Potter is a guy who's been doing, a lot with whatever he's gotten, and he's kept Brighton as a football team. He's done pretty well with whatever he has, with the squad that he has. And I'm pretty impressed with a guy like him. Like he's probably a fellow. If you give him a budget, I mean, you give him a bigger budget or a bigger transfer cost, I'm sure he can work wonders as well. But maybe he's also one of those managers who's good at just managing the smaller teams as well. Like he gets more joy out of it as well. So we'll have to just see. We'll have to just watch his space as to where Graham Potter goes.
Fair enough. I think we will now move into the interesting segment, which is the young player. Since we have a coach in the house, Sam, experience with these young talents, we have picked Mason Mount. Of course, there was Phil Foden in the mix, there was Greenwood, there was Saka. So, do you agree with Mason Mount or do you have a different opinion?
I think performance-wise, Mason Mount, I agree with you. But if you ask me talent-wise and potential-wise, then I would definitely go for Phil Foden because it's a no-brainer there. I think Pep still hasn't unleashed his Foden's entire potential on the league. He still used him, not used him completely. But if he plays week in week out, he's got so much more to give to the game. And so Phil Foden for me is the most exciting talent in the world, actually, not only in the Premier League, in the entire world. So I think, but I agree with Mason Mount because performance-wise, statistics-wise, and consistency-wise, he has, really, really, really performed well for Chelsea this season.
Abdullah?
I would go with Foden. I mean, I was not a fan of either, to be honest, especially at the beginning of the season, because we've seen a lot of English youngsters, come up over the years. And English media is horrendous. It's not just with football, you see it with cricket and other sports as well. They love to build their own players versus other nationalities and their own young players versus their older ones. So somewhere we all know, we've seen it with a whole host of them. But this season, I think Mount and Phil Foden, they've unlocked a different level to their game. And it was very evident. They're instrumental to their teams. Mount more to Chelsea than Foden to City. However, kind of like how Saka carried Arsenal in the early phase of the season, Foden's performances and his contribution to City's play in the first quarter of the season, right? I think we are forgetting because of recency bias. He was very, very important to City, eking out those really dirty results, not because of their performances, but unfortunately, they were just not good enough. But they were getting these draws and they were nicking a win here or there. And over the course of the season, I think like Coach Sam said, Pep probably still hasn't unlocked his full potential, but Foden yet has, achieved a different level altogether. He's only gotten better. And with the amount of talent that is around Foden versus what is around Mount, Foden has had to kind of fight against that as well. And you see the difference in City's gameplay when Foden comes on. I know this is Premier League, but even in the Champions League, he has been absolutely phenomenal. So, and because Mount is in the team of the season, my vote probably would go to Phil Foden.
I think even Gary Neville said it in one of his interviews where he said that for a Phil Foden to come into a side like City, to come into the starting 11 and to impress a manager like Pep, you have to be a phenomenal talent. So I think probably yes, there were more choices, like of course Greenwood in the mix, Saka in the mix, but I still feel, Mount was the better option considering, yes, the players around him and the form that Chelsea were in, he was their go-to man. Now, for both of
Right.
them at that age, to be their go-to man for their team is an achievement in itself. But I just think Mount was a little more important considering where Chelsea were and where they are now.
Right. I think Phil Foden could be the next global superstar, to be honest. That's the amount of potential that everyone we hear. I mean, I don't have a trained eye to actually spot talent. I'm just a fan. I don't even play that regularly. You know what I mean? So for just a fan, I keep the opinions of not all pundits, but pundits who are ex-players or who are into management currently very highly. And every time they are asked Foden versus Mount, more often than not, they go with Foden. And they are also of the same opinion that Mount, maybe if he keeps continuing, if he keeps performing continuously like this, he's going to be a great player. But with regards to Foden, maybe we haven't still seen the best of him, which, under even a good manager, he'll be able to perform well. And that's where a good coach is important for Mount right now, because I'm not too aware of Tuchel's, man management skills as such, coaching abilities and whatnot. But with Pep, though, we all know, even though he's not that great with youngsters, but once in a while he picks a few here and there, and then they just explode.
So that is the end. That is our season review. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Abdullah. From
Thanks,
me
guys.
and Carl and the team at All
Thanks,
Balls,
guys.
it's been an amazing season. So stay home and stay safe, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.